do we want to? Otherwise, someone might be watching. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to MotorMouth Broadcasting. Here for the next round of the 204 League Summer Heat Series, round 4 from Nashville Fairgrounds this evening. I'm your commentator Hamish Rono, joined by Ron Morns alongside and Jim Cunningham behind the cameras and the controls as well. Massive night of racing though, short track action once again, where the pot of, we call it the pot of destiny a little bit, but it's the dash for cash, is still not jackpotted. It's going to be a massive factor in tonight's race, I feel. And I think another massive factor, Ron, which you're going to get caught up to speed very quickly, is the dominance of Riley Duncan, who has, I think, won every single round to this point. In fact, has also qualified on the front row at every single round. Luckily for everyone else in the league, Ron, he gets to be put right at the back of the field after qualifying tonight because he has to make his job even harder. So you're going to get caught up to speed very quickly in how dominant he is and how fast-paced this racing is as well. But before we get into tonight, how are you, Ron? And I hope you're looking forward to some short-track racing here at Nashville.
I'm doing pretty all right, Hamish. Thank you for asking. I'm really looking forward to it here at Nashville, the quintessential old-school NASCAR track. This track has been around for many, many moons. I think the original, the grounds that we were racing on here opened well over 100 years ago. It is a storied racetrack. This doesn't get a whole lot of love here on iRacing. I've only seen a couple of races here in my entire broadcasting career at this track, but, you know, it is fun. I really want to see NASCAR run here again one day. ARCA runs here every single year, along with a whole slew of other short track racing across the calendar year. Here with these late model cars, though, these are these cars' bread and butter, really, when it comes to this track. So I think we're in for a really good one here tonight.
I do as well, and I think if NASCAR were to come racing here, I think it'd be great for the track because it means that the track would likely get upgraded. So obviously a lot more seating would get put in and the facilities would get better and better. So I'm all for, NASCAR coming back. I mean, we go racing in Nashville. Nashville's known for many things. It's known for obviously being a city of music and music lovers. A lot of major sports teams play here, and then living up to its name as well. We often, look for professional wrestlers because it's a great joke to have every single week from the area. Jeff Jarrett, who comes from Nashville, really lent into his Nashville heritage of, running out with a guitar, playing a guitar when he would come out to the ring. So, hopefully we're in for some rhythmic racing here tonight and we get into, some absolutely spectacular action around this place. So I'm excited though, Ron. I think it's going to be a great race. I think it's going to be great to see how these cars handle this circuit, and it's it's a classic circuit. Nashville Fairgrounds. Get yourself a churro, get yourself a hot dog, sit back, relax, and watch some short track racing with these late model stocks. I think it's going to be a great time.
Whenever I think of Nashville cuisine, I don't necessarily think of churros. And on the subject of celebrities, I feel like now I should have a list of just random interesting celebrities for all the races coming up.
You should. Honestly, like random list of celebrities, great factor and great facts to have when you come racing somewhere you don't know. And a lot easier though to pull for US circuits more so than international ones because it's a bit hard to find a random Iberian celebrity whenever we go racing at Catalunya or something. So I think it's, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great race. And I think, qualifying is going to be somewhat crucial for these drivers tonight. But, speaking of qualifying, we have to figure out who is going to be in the dash for cash position. But first, before we find that out, we have to find out what the dash for cash position is. So as the drivers get into qualifying, we'll get our wheel spin up and we'll make the selection on which position is going to be dashing for the cash here tonight. It did go up from last week to $45,
no,
I do believe.
I think it's 55 actually.
$55 after last week. So
let's see what we've got 11 drivers here tonight. And so we're going to give it a 1 through 11 here, spin on the wheel. Sound effects included.
Drum roll for this.
Number 6. So whoever qualifies in the 6th position tonight will be our dash for cash guy.
Well, aside from, to give the rundown of anyone who may be new here, Ron included, who may be watching along with us for the first time, the top 5, you must finish in the top 5 to win the Dash for Cash. If you are the Dash for Cash participant in this race, P6 is just about as good of a position you can be in, Ron, to hope to get into that top 5. You're only going to gain 1 position, and you could be $55 richer at the end of this race.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty all right spot to be in at the start of this. But these drivers more focused on qualifying as it stands right now, trying to set as quick of a lap time as I can. And it's funny. It may seem like I just came off the bus here, which I kind of am here. It's my first broadcast with this series, but I will let you know 2 laps allotted to these racers in this solo qualifying session. They only have 5 minutes to try and get the job done as well. But hey, it's a short track, short tempers, and these racers have plenty of time to try and set a lap time on the board. Looking pretty good for our usual dominant fourth at the north end of it, but these racers still trying to fight for a lot, with him going to be dropping back to the back of the pack for this race coming up.
Yeah, he'll pull aside as they go for the warm-up lap. He'll let everyone past him, and he'll tuck up at the back of the field if he does. Well, I think actually, if no matter where Riley qualifies, he will put himself at the back of the field because he won the race prior. That's the ruling, is if you win the race the week before, you have to start at the back of the field. So I did say that if he continues to win race after race after race, then his penalty should stack. And he's won 3 in a row. I think he deserves maybe a drive-through penalty as the race gets started, just to make it that little bit harder for him.
So if we do that even more in terms of like starting farther and farther behind our pole sitter in these races, is it just going to click back in terms of laps, or are we going to get to the point with like, oh no, say a race at like, I don't know, we'll just throw a random short track at their Lanier Speedway, gets to the point where he's just going to be starting the race in a completely different state, or like how are we going to start like minus 5 laps into the race? I'm
glad you mentioned that. I think if he wins tonight in Nashville, he must remain in Nashville and start next week's race in Richmond from Nashville Fairgrounds. It's the only fair way to try and hinder him somehow.
Are we at Richmond? Are we at Richmond next week?
We are at Richmond next week.
Wow.
Yeah, we are. I checked the calendar.
Well,
at this stage,
on your homework.
I simply clicked on the schedule and saw that it was Richmond next week, I'll be honest. But at this stage of qualifying, as Dakota Dennis has just had a mistake, who sits at the back of the field, P6 Lee Hamby will be the Dash for Cash driver here this evening. Let's see, is Lee in any of the voice channels? How rude. He's not. That's a bit, we like to talk to drivers and find out how they feel heading in towards this event. Obviously, short track action, but it'll be a solid night for them. 35% fuel for them, 2 drop rounds across the season, 1 set of tires across the race. So keeping those tires in check tonight, Ron, is it going to be a struggle here at Nashville? I mean, this is the first race I've ever gotten to call at this track. Is it going to be a tire killer, or is it going to be a struggle, or is it going to be okay for them just to hold on? Because I think it's 1 tire change they get. They have 1 set to change onto.
That's correct.
So if you can split the race and the tires is not so bad, you might be okay.
I will say the experience that I have commentating races here at Nashville is some ARCA races that were going on here on iRacing. It was like 5 or 6 weeks in a row that I was doing a broadcast here at Nashville for a 150 lap long ARCA race.
Every single week. Nashville?
But in those races,
was that Nashville the Speedway?
They weren't really too bad when it came to all of that. It was here at the fairgrounds, and we didn't really see tire wear be too much of a factor, albeit those racers did have unlimited sets, and there were some hecticness in those races. So you'd eventually just see racers come down pit lane every single yellow in those small fields to try and take tires. Won't have that liberty, will these racers tonight? So I have a feeling you may have to worry about tire life a little bit. I think my main bit of advice would be try not to spin and crash so your tires don't get turned into rectangles.
Well, I think, you were here for so long at the fairgrounds, Ron. Could your ginger stomach handle that amount of Nashville hot chicken across those weeks?
I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, I'd been to a jalapeno pepper once, and it burned so much I got my tongue stuck to an ice pack.
Starting grid, though, for tonight's race will be as follows. Riley Duncan has qualified on the pole once again, but he will start at the back of the field here this evening. Scotty Oliver, Tyler Smith, Rob Donaldson in behind them. JJ McRae makes up the top 5. Lee Hamby starts at a P6. He is the Dash for Cash driver here tonight. Needs to make up one position, and he will jackpot the Dash for Cash. Almost kind of don't want him to, if I'm honest. I kind of want it to keep going until we get over $100. Clint Walker, Stephen Gary, Mark Keeler, Marcus DeGarza, and Dakota Dennis will make up our 11-car field here this evening at the Fairgrounds in Nashville for what is bound to be a spectacular event once again by way of the 204 Summer Heat Series. And ironically, the 204 car of Ryan Camber is not on the road tonight, so the admin is not here to go racing. Hopefully we see the Floridian back next week when we go racing out at Richmond. But we've seen Riley pull over and get to the back of the field here, Ron. It's going to be a tasty start for sure. Sure, the drivers are licking their lips to get onto this race, but I think with Riley at the back, well, I would like to claim somebody else could win. But it might be a bit hard for them to really contest him because we may get 5 to 10 laps into this race and he's already up the front.
And, we will have to keep it somewhat smooth at the start of this race. He's going to have to walk around on eggshells once we drop this green flag here in just a couple of moments' time. Maybe a little bit hectic here when we grab that green. Let's just find out here.
Well, as the teammates of Tyler Smith and Scotty Oliver lead the field around, green flag out at Nashville Fairgrounds as we get underway. 100 laps to go. Lap 1 has begun. And running around turn 1, we'll see how the scramble begins to fold towards the end of this race. To give you the rundown as well here, Ron, Riley Duncan, championship leader, won multiple races with a controller. I feel it's a bit rude of him to do that.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how quick that man would be behind the wheel. I say that. I remember back in my early days playing racing games. It was back on F1 2016 where the remote controller was quicker than the old Thrustmaster Ferrari 458 wheel or whatever it was. It had bungee cord instead of force feedback. I had
that wheel, Ron, and it was horrible. I resold that thing for, I think I sold that for $50, and it wasn't even worth that much.
I snapped about 5 bungee cords inside of that steering mechanism. It is still downstairs in my basement collecting dust, and the rubber red grips on it have slowly but surely aged into a very odd-looking dusty pink, and I'm pretty sure if I touched it, I would probably pick up some sort of 2017 disease.
Oh, most likely. Couldn't have been as bad as a 2020 disease, but the air was cleaner back then, so maybe not. Maybe you'll actually gain a good bout of health off the back of that. Just to give the rundown on Duncan, he's back up to P6 now, just in behind Lee Hamby. So, of course, with Duncan starting further back, that put Hamby in a possible Dash for Cash winning position, but I don't think it'll be long until Riley makes his way past and gets back into the top 5. So, for Lee, he probably needs to hope for a bit of bad luck for those top 5 just to tuck himself further up. JJ McRae, the other Canadian in the field, currently tucked just ahead of Rob Donaldson as they chase down Tyler Smith and Scotty Oliver. I think these boys at the front, though, they need to start working together just to maybe body Riley out of the way a bit here, Ron. I mean, they're teammates. Teammates are teammates. They got to work together just to try and hold him out and stop him from winning another race.
Yeah, we may see the teammates work together, both because they are teammates and just strength in numbers as well. Try and form some sort of defensive pincer movement, potentially. Not too sure how that would work out, but we do have a side-by-side fight involving Donaldson. We run on board with him in that 01, in the 00 car, heading his way down the inside into 3 and 4. Look at the 78 of McRae on the outside, still trying to keep the momentum rolling on the high side. Not able to clear him yet is the 001 of Donaldson, that North Carolinian driver, still trying to make his way up into 3rd, but in all of that drama, you look a little bit farther behind and you can see the oh boy, I thought we were nearly going to see a collision there, but no, you can see the 47 of Hamby and the 97 of Duncan slowly but surely hove their way into view as these racers are still side by side, now officially a 10th of the way through this race.
It goes by very, very quickly, and JJ is just going to have to back out of it for the moment on board his Corvette late model stock car. I find it quite interesting in how creative drivers can get when making their livery and changing the front end of their car. You can make pretty much anything into a late model stock, and he's obviously gone for the Corvette look this season, as well as those, in quotes, Cadillacs lead the way. Although JJ has just had a big blink, he is back now. But if that becomes more of an issue, Ron, he may find himself in pit lane with a ping flag. So hopefully, his case not, and hopefully it kind of stays away for the moment, because that will at least be better for the drivers behind him trying to contest for position.
And speaking of contesting for position, it looks like we may have a fight involving Hamby and Duncan as they head their way down into turn number 1 and 2. Looking at Duncan trying to break his way up into the top 5. Looks like he will be able to do it. Dotson, we rode on board with that driver, still in that 00 car, heading his way into 3 and 4. Looked like it was a bucking Bronco as he headed his way out of turn number 1 and 2. That car bouncing up and down like crazy. I will say, though, very nice to see the varied different paint schemes and different bodywork little decals that drivers put on their cars. As much as we have 2 Cadillacs up at the front, I've never seen a Cadillac late model my entire time, just on planet Earth, period. I would love to see a Rolls-Can-Hardly late model.
That is as deep a cut as I think I've ever heard for a late model stock request. I put the request in for something like a Toyota Supra, or, you know, like make them look like some old JGTC cars, you know, get some Supras, get some NSXs, or even an R34 GTR of some kind, you know, but you can be so creative with how you dress these cars for yourself, you know, within the series. And there's a heap out there. You can find there are files out there of just different car graphics for the front ends and the rear ends, so you can make your car look pretty much as whatever you want. Maybe we need like an Austin Healey late model stock run, really run that old style car out on track here at these short tracks.
I'll tell you what, one thing I'm a little bit disappointed in is the fact that my actual car, which is a 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass with a 3.8-liter V6 that had 110 horsepower out of the factory back in the mid-'80s, in the 40 years that have since passed, it's probably lost a decent chunk of them, so it's probably pushing about 80 now. Don't have that on iRacing. You can get close with the 87 Cup cars, but you cannot match that slowness. What you would need is an 87 Cup car bodywork, some new little bits of vinyl wrap on it, and also the engine taken out of a Formula V to try and match my real-life car here in the sim. We'll say, though, 2 drivers matching their pace right now. We follow Riley Duncan trying to make his way up the running order right now. We follow him in that number 97 machine, trying to wheel it down the inside of the 78, who is still blinking wildly in and out of existence there. May need to give his Wi-Fi modem a quick kick up the butt as that 4th place runner blinking in and out. He's hitting 88 miles an hour and sending himself back into the days when this place used to be a horse racing track.
Hey, what, Lee Hamby will have his fingers crossed at the moment that JJ just all of a sudden disappears out of existence and doesn't come back, because that will give him that crucial top 5 position for the Dash for Cash here tonight. So if you're Lee Hamby, you're making calls to the Canadian government just to go and unplug his Wi-Fi. You know, I don't know if Trousseau is still doing missions of disappointment for the Canadian citizens out there, but it could help an American for sure get some cash next to his name.
Now, I remember one time doing a broadcast with a producer who's Canadian. I remember joking about the fact he has a closet full of maple syrup. I don't think that producer has ever been able to look at me exactly the same side-by-side racing between the 78 and the 97. He's backing out of it, though. As he has his way through the turns. We have a caution here, the first one of the race, and that's a 99 around.
Yeah, Marcus de la Garza has gone round on the main straight, so that's slowed everyone up. So I wonder now if we see some of the back markers just come in and try and maybe just get some fuel advantage going forward in the race. This is how it happened to Marcus. So as he came around, got it loose off the exit of 4 and just tapped the wall ever so lightly. But even when a wall tap looks light, it's also, you know, it can be quite detrimental to the car. He then backs it back into the wall, parks it, and then I think as he's about to go again, he taps the wall again. So that car there is going to have some pretty heavy damage on it here, Ron. But first caution of the race, we've made it 23 laps prior to the caution getting called. At that rate, we're going to have 4 cautions across the race. That's not too bad.
Oh, that's pretty all right there. Have a clean run thus far in this race for these racers.
Well, let's get into a quick commercial break here. We'll be back very shortly once we go green out at Nashville.
In logistics, precision isn't a goal, it's the expectation. At Aspire Crossdock, we exceed it every day. Serving Fortune 50 companies from our strategic hubs in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Aspire Crossdock delivers fast, reliable, and fully customizable logistics solutions tailored to your supply chain. From expedited cross-dock to end-to-end third-party logistics, we're not just a 3PL provider, we're your competitive edge. Driven by the latest technology and guided by a relentless focus on service, Aspire Crossdock brings you unmatched speed, visibility, and accuracy in every single shipment. Innovation, execution, satisfaction. Aspire Crossdock isn't just keeping up, we are setting the pace. Find us on aspirecompanies.biz. Aspire Crossdock, where logistics meets success.
All right, welcome back in to Nashville Fairgrounds, ladies and gentlemen. Hamish Mono, Ron Morns with you for this one. We're about to go green flag racing once again on lap 28 here of Nashville Fairgrounds after our first caution of the race, which saw Marcus de la Garza get loose off the exit of turn 4 and end up in the wall on the main straight. Car was not too heavily damaged, so he's back out there racing once again. Cars, though, looking to go for a 2-wide restart as the green flag is flown at Nashville, and we're back underway as Scotty Oliver gets us leading towards the front of the field. There's big blinking happening further back in the field at this stage, but the 18 has done well. McRae's now hot on the heels of Smith, Donaldson, Hamby, and Duncan battling for P4 on the road as well.
And everybody's still on the tires that they started this race with, I believe. So we're starting to see these racers really start to struggle when it comes to grip. And let's see the number 97 still on the hard charge. He's stuck behind the double zeros. He has his way down the backstretch off into 3 and 4. Will we see some gainers from the drivers? Been oh so dominant thus far in this season. Hasn't been dominant in this race as he started at the back after grabbing that pole. Put himself back there for the start. Let's see if he can make his way up at the front. Look at that double zero clipping the apron, though, heading his way all through turn number 2. This may give that number 97 the shot as he looks around the outside into 3 and 4. Not really risking it, though, at this point of the race. And considering these drivers not too terribly far away from mounting new rubber on that race car, can't necessarily blame them.
Actually quite surprised that no one came in to take fuel on that stop just to get a little fuel advantage going forward. I mean, drivers are always going to have to put fuel in the car to get home. But the fact that they didn't come in and just take some fuel, I mean, even at the aspect of, well, if we get enough cautions, you may be able to make it home from this point. So it's an interesting mindset that they didn't do that, but we'll see how it works out for them. I mean, everyone's now on the same strategy, barring Dakota Dennis. I actually lied. Dakota Dennis did come in and take fuel. So we'll see if Dakota can make up some free positions and get themselves further up inside the top 10 here, Ron, as Duncan now has made his way past that double zero of Rob Donaldson, and he's got the blinky bill known as JJ Duncan just up the road from him in what could be a Canadian double-double once again. And but both of them just running wide, clipping that wall at the exit of 4. They want to be sure that they keep these cars in check and keep them clean, because if you start to incur damage from it, it's really going to hurt your race.
Yeah, when you start to see these racers pick up the damage, this isn't the quickest racetrack in the world when it comes to the world of short track racing, but it's quick enough whereby that damage on the front of the number 97 may potentially hurt him. You can see that front wheel just sticking out a teeny tiny bit. It may not seem like too much, and the grand scheme of things, it really isn't. If you saw that on a die-cast car that you bought on eBay, you wouldn't really bet too much attention to it. You'd be a little bit irked, but nothing too major. But on a race car, trying to haul the mail around a racetrack like this, that can hurt you out a little bit when it comes to the handling and the speed department as well. But let's follow him as he gets his way down into turn number 3 and 4. Got 3 cars right in front, looking pretty all right when it comes to the suspension. A little bit of a wiggle out of the turns, but doesn't look like he's left hand down or right hand down, so I don't think he has any sort of suspension damage yet, but he certainly won't want to try and risk it like that anymore between now and the end.
Well, the only time we're seeing him be left hand down is through corners, so that says to me your steering looks pretty good. So, but He's, I mean, for Riley, he's got incredible pace, and I say it every week, it's disgusting that he's so fast with a controller. It irks me to my core, in fact, that he is so fast with a controller, because a lot of us put so much time in to get fast with a steering wheel, and he just rocks up, admittedly, only on ovals, and is fast with a wheel, with a controller. I know for a fact, though, that he doesn't find himself as quick on road courses. That's often the struggle with a controller, is you don't get brake modulation like you do with pedals, and you don't really get the feeling that you do with the wheel. But, when it comes to oval racing, there's little, nuances to trying to go fast, but at the end of the day, you are only turning left, so I think it's probably the easiest place to go racing with a controller on iRacing compared to if you're trying to go road track racing and be fast with a controller as well.
Yeah, I think oval racing can be done a little bit easier when it comes to running with a controller than you can with road course racing. I will say, I think the worst form of racing that you could try and do with a controller would probably be dirt oval. I think that would be a nightmare, especially if that would be. I mean, if anyone could do that, I'd be willing to pay up to 5 cents to see someone try and do something like that.
I'll give you one even more difficult, Ron. Dirt road racing. That would be even worse because you are having to counter steer whilst also going each different direction.
See, I was thinking that would maybe be it. I feel like dirt oval would be a bit trickier. It depends on what dirt oval car you're running. If you're running on a winged sprint car, I feel like you'd be rather all right. On a non-winged, though, when you're basically having to saw at the wheel like an angry orangutan behind the wheel of a cartoon car, that's when you start to get a little bit upset. So I have a feeling that won't work out too well.
I think the midget would probably be the death of a controller racer. I think, but when you go, for the winged sprint car, you'd be okay. But the micro would be a real challenge on a controller. No, Jim. We call the small non-winged sprint cars in Australia. We call them midgets. That's what we call them. So, oh well, he didn't. Oh, that's fine. They can't hear me.
I'm not really sure what to say to that, so I'll swiftly and abruptly move on. I'll tell you what, though, to break the ice when it comes to all that, rather interesting that a stock car can be run rather well with a controller. Compare that to trying to run a submarine with a controller. That usually doesn't go so well. These drivers, though, hoping that they do not implode in this race.
Okay, that was, you really hit the tip of the iceberg with that one, Ron. That was... That was a Titanic joke from you. Well, the good thing though for these short tracks is all the cars can fit on the door that is Nashville Fairgrounds, unlike someone who was in the water. But for Scotty Oliver and Tyler Smith, well, Scotty's managed just to eke out a little bit of gap here over his teammate. But they are in a nice line of stern with JJ McRae and Riley Duncan. But I'm just going to assume, I mean, Duncan and JJ, they'll be happy just to sit there for a bit. I mean, we're about to hit the halfway point of this race, just to traverse around and begin at lap 50 when they cross the start-finish line. So halfway there, halfway home. It's only taken us 17 odd minutes to get here. It should mean we've only got about 17 minutes left of racing, Ron.
Yeah, 17 minutes left for these racers to try and duke it at the front of the field, square away their differences, and figure out who's going to win. That 78 car, though, still dealing with UFO encounters lap after lap. Oh, though we're going to see that number 97 car try and go to the back bumper of the 78. They still run smooth and clean and single file, at least for now. But as we get to the end of this race here, Hamish, I think we may start to see these racers throw haymakers at each other with every single passing opportunity to try and make it work. But let's see. They had their way all through 3 and 4, still single file. I think that tension is certainly brewing, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to feel the pressure a lot more towards the end of this race as we see JJ trying to get an opportunity to traverse past Tyler Smith in the 25 entry. Trace Brown is in the chat, has given a shout out to Tyler's soccer team, in fact. So we'll see if Tyler can kick a goal here tonight or if he ends up getting slide tackled and having his ankles kicked out from under him. But here comes Duncan, outside line on McRae as they run through turn 2 and up towards turn 3 and 4. And as we've got cars Yep, 25's in. Donaldson's coming in too. So's Clint Walker further back. So we've got some pit stops happening right at the halfway point of the race. But I think if you're further up the field here, Ron, and you've saved a bit of fuel, you try and go as long as possible in the hopes that the yellow flag is thrown so you can get a pit stop in under yellow. But Oliver's into pit lane as well, as is Duncan. Hamby's coming in. We'll see if McRae does too. He does. What about Stephen Gary into pit road? And Dakota Dennis has gone again, which makes sense because he pit a lot earlier in the race, but he will need another pit stop. But should get a nice little gain off of this, I think, Ron. I mean, he took 8 seconds worth of fuel. Clint Walker's made a mistake in the pit lane, by the way. He's sped into pit lane, so he's got a stop hold. Everyone else has taken roughly 11 to 13 seconds worth of fuel. De La Garza has taken tyres, so... and he's taken all 4 tyres, unless he's tried to fix that car, actually. Now that I think about it, he probably has tried to fix that car, because 23 seconds. Everyone else has taken their 4 tyres, and they've taken fuel. For Dakota Dennis, do we think he's taken enough fuel? And if he has, would he need to stop for tyres again? Because if he doesn't, he could get a... Yeah, well, if he does get a caution, I mean... 2 laps ahead, you'd pit for new tyres, and then you'd rock and roll on again, wouldn't you?
See, this is the time that real-life racing divulges away from sim racing, because if this was a real-life event, what we would probably see is a little bit of roll bar padding fall out of the driver's side of that car, but not able to do that here in the sim.
I've noticed, too, Scotty Oliver's back in pit lane. I think he's got a drive-through. I think Scotty Oliver's got a drive-through penalty for speeding in pits or for an unsafe entry. So I'd say then that Clint Walker's incident, because he was in there for a minute, I would say he had an unsafe entry and that gave him a stop hold, where Oliver's sped and now has had a drive-through. So if Dakota Dennis needs to pit to get to the end of this race, as Riley Duncan's in as well. So I think Riley Duncan also had a speeding in pit lane penalty. So now... no matter what, if Dakota Dennis needs to come into pit lane or not, Lee Hamby is inside of the top 5 and could win our Dash for Cash tonight. Even though there is roughly 40 laps left to run, he's in a much better position than he was prior to those pit stops.
Yeah, it shows you how quickly these races can change on a dime as a result of that pit cycle. Multiple drivers getting whacked with some rather big penalties. The falling anvils coming down on those racers for sure. But hey, we still have a decent amount of time left to go in this race. Plenty of time for some more chicanery to potentially take place. Look at that number 19 car, though, sliding his way all through 3 and 4, ending up in the marbles as well on the high side. You can see that rubber buildup on the outside line. I'll have to double check to see whether or not this track was cleaned in between sessions, but regardless, very dirty on that high side. If we see anybody end up off through there, it'll basically be like they ran straight into a slip and slide.
Oh, it will indeed. Tyler Smith is the only driver who is technically not a lap down on Dakota Dennis at the moment, because he is ahead of him on track at this stage, as Donaldson's now going to unlap himself too. And here comes the 18 of, well, that's Scotty Oliver, who will be hoping to just try and keep himself unlapped, but he's down even further, so he's just getting a lap further back on Dennis here. But I think Dennis is giving up pace now, Ron. He needs to pit and take tyres, because the rubber on those tyres is completely shredded to the bone. Maybe a mistake not taking tyres when he pitted earlier on 25, because now he's going to have to traverse through pit road again. As JJ McRae, is in pit lane. JJ McRae's in pit lane now, and he's actually pulled up in pit lane. He's taking another stop. And I think his internet has gone. I think he's pitted because his internet has given him issues. So
that's been a consistent problem for him as well. Yeah, sorry to budge in there. I was just going to say that's been pretty much ever since about lap 15. We've seen that car blinking in and out of existence like it's going out of style. I think those internet issues may have caught up with him. Either he got that penalty, he got that flag, and it's like, hey, look, no, just no. So that dragged him back to pit lane because of those internet problems, or he just got so frustrated that he pulled over to the side of the road and is probably in the act of cursing out his internet service provider right now.
Oh, he would be, but, you know, if you're Lee Hamby and you've had your fingers crossed this whole race, you might very well have arthritis to this point, but at least there is a reprieve in terms of putting Ben Gay on those hands by way of JJ McRae having to disconnect Hamby now in P4. When Dennis pits, he'll be P3 on the road. And with the two cars that came in who were ahead of him for their drive-throughs, Riley Duncan, Scotty Oliver, who have both got good pace, even if they get back past him again, Ron, he's still in the top 5 and still in with a chance of winning the Dash for Cash here this evening as we get up towards lap 69 of this race has now just been completed. Nice. Onto lap 70. I think this might be an appropriate time now to go for a quick ad break and let us catch our breath, cool our jets, and give a shout out to some of these sponsors of the series.
Do you love Orlando's theme parks, but the long lines have you losing the magic? Introducing Ride Waits, the Apple Watch app designed to help you skip the stress and ride more, with real-time wait times and park info right on your wrist. Whether you're exploring Walt Disney World, adventuring through Universal Orlando, or taking it all in at SeaWorld, Ride Waits helps you navigate smarter and get the most out of your visit. No more wandering, no more guessing, just more riding. And it's not just wait times. Ride Waits also offers tips on the best times to ride, general park info, and helpful alerts so you never miss out on your favorite attraction. Whether you're planning ahead or making game day decisions in the park, Ride Waits keeps everything you need at a quick glance away. Ride Waits, your wrist-side guide to the best parks in Orlando. Available now on the Apple Watch store.
Not affiliated with or endorsed by any theme park brand.
So welcome back in to the TO4, the 204 League Summer Heat Series, round 4 out at Nashville Fairgrounds here this evening. We're getting in towards the latter chapter of this race here, Ron, and I think the big talking point now is Lee Hamby. Can he do it? Can he win the Dash for Cash? Will it jackpot tonight, or will it continue on to next week? 26 laps to go. It's 26 short laps for him to try and make the end of this race. The other talking point is Dakota Dennis. Can he survive at the front of the field with such horrid tyre wear? He had a 17-second gap only 5 laps ago over Tyler Smith. It's now been cut down to 9 seconds at this point of the race. If there was a time to pit, it would have been 5 laps ago. He hasn't done so, and he's given up a massive chunk of time.
Yeah, unfortunately there for that driver of the 919 car, currently holding on to this race lead now, an 8.5-second gap between himself and Smith in the 25. You just reached that certain point with the tire wear around here. As much as I said it won't be too bad, you're still beating the tires running around here, especially with the other conditions that we've got right now. So frankly, for him to be out that long, that car is probably driving around with about as much grip of as a declawed cat trying to climb up an igloo. It is not a good situation for him to be in at all at the present moment. So frankly, would not be too shocked if he just starts dropping down like a stone thrown into a pond. Really, there's only so much you can do with such ancient tires.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, when you've got such old rubber, they mention that, you know, rubber normally has an expiration date, and hopefully doesn't end up in some sort of seed being planted for him, as he's just, you see Lee Hamby unlapping himself, and Dennis has had to come into pit lane now and give up on trying to run on this old set of tyres. We'll see how low he drops, though, because he's already given up the spot to Smith. Donaldson's about to get the spot from him as well. Hamby's going to get past him in this pit stop too. Stephen Gary should, Riley Duncan, oh, that's going to be close, but Duncan's quick, so he should get by him pretty easily. Then Scotty Oliver, I mean, well, he's only just up on the tyre jacks now, so he's going to drop spots. But he has made somewhat of a net gain. I mean, he should be into the top 10, and he's on the freshest tyres. But it's whether he can now take advantage of this. I mean, I think that is the real talking point. Can he take advantage of these fresh tyres?
You know, the amount of time left to go in this race, does he have the opportunity to try and take advantage of that? He certainly has an advantage, don't get me wrong, but the amount of time left to go here in this race, will it be enough? I think there's just enough time whereby he will be able to try and make some gains, make some leaps forward. We'll just have to wait and see, though, between now and the end of this race. Coming up in about 18 laps time now. It is still some close quarters battling going on all throughout this field. These racers treating us to a good one here at Nashville. I should have had that list of random celebrities up and rolling. I will certainly have that, though, come time for next week.
It's it's known as the city of music. I believe there is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. No, okay.
It's in Cleveland,
The Country
Ohio.
Music Hall of Fame. That's right, the Country Music Hall of Fame. And what a Hall of Fame it is. I mean, there are many famous country music artists in that Hall of Fame. There'll be many more to go in there in future as well. I mean, I'm sure the likes of, Luke Combs, Jelly Roll's probably going to find his way in there at some point as well. I mean, modern artists are definitely going to be put in there. Hopefully, though, we don't see any Jelly Roll here tonight, and we get to this race and nice and clean. We've only had one caution to this point. It was within the first 25 laps, and we've gone green flag running ever since with 15 to go. A yellow flag really spiced it up for us. It had put Stephen Gary and Riley Duncan and Scotty Oliver hot on the heels of Lee Hamby in P3 at the moment, our Dash for Cash driver here tonight. But at the moment, he's sitting pretty, not only to win the Dash for Cash, but to possibly finish out on the podium.
Yeah, that'd be a very good result for him if he could just hang on in that number 47 car. We follow him heading his way down into 3 and 4. And in that discussion we raised a couple of moments ago, Hamish, talking about the Country Music Hall of Fame here in Nashville, how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is actually in Cleveland, Ohio, because nothing screams rock and roll to me like a river that catches on fire. This
is true. This is very, very true. And we're always asking the question, who started the fire? Billy Joel often started fires at Madison Square Garden in New York, but when the river's on fire, sometimes you need to get a blanket and just put it out for yourself. So, but with 12 laps left to run, the 47 looks good to win this Dash for Cash, and I continue to cease to amaze Jim Cunningham to give you a peel behind the curtain. He is still not surprised at my level of detail in terms of just rambling till a joke comes out of me. So, but it's been a good race thus far, Ron, and I think we're going to be in for a great one next week out at Richmond. I think it's going to be a solid performance opportunity for performance for these drivers next week out at Richmond. And at the moment, it looks like we're about to get the first non-race win for Riley Duncan this season. So I still believe that a drive-through penalty and starting at the back of the field is the way to beat him, and it seems to have done that tonight.
Yeah, I think it potentially has. That may have been the other nail in the coffin for him to have that race win streak come to a close here at Nashville. Still been a pretty dominant start for him. 3 wins in 4 races if this order remains the same between now and the end. And he'll still be walking away from this race with a top 5 result, which may be in the mid-pack considering the 11-car starting grid that we had here. But you can't necessarily say that's a bad result at all. But yeah, getting to the end of it, Richmond in 1 week's time, that is going to be a fun one. But for the 25 of Smith, he is in the cruising lane, a 5-second gap to himself and Dotson right behind, so doesn't have too much pressure to worry about. Just needs to deal with some occasional bits of lap traffic and just hit his marks here at the end. If he can do that, he's going to be in the cruise lane right to the end.
Oh, you'd be very well, Will, and I think cruise control's on. Keep yourself in your rhythm, but not necessarily at a push length. I think when you start over push late in a race, that's when the mistakes often happen. But then when also you lift off too much, that's when mistakes can happen too. So I think just keeping himself in check, in flow state, in rhythm, and Tyler should have this race win, because with only 6 laps left to run, it's going to only be maybe 2 minutes until we get to the checkered flag. It's going to be nigh impossible for Riley Duncan to make up the gap that is currently sitting between him and the race leader from all the way back in P5. It also means that more than likely, if Lee Hamby survives the next 5 laps, this Dash for Cash is going to jackpot and restart once again. And as we get out towards the halfway point of the season, it's then going to become the top 3 finish to get the Dash for Cash. There's no question, though, whether Lee Hamby's going to get it tonight, because he's not only in the top 5, he's in the top 3. So he'll definitely be winning it if he can make it to the end of this race. And with a 1.6 second lead to Stephen Gary and behind him and only 4 laps left to run, it's looking more and more likely that it's about to jackpot.
Yeah, it looks like that will be the conclusion of this race here at Nashville. Pretty nice payday, pretty nice pay night, I guess would probably be the correct technical term. And you can tell how excited I was about that based off the fact that my voice shot up about 7 octaves as I was saying that. But nice payday here for the number 47 as he has his way down into turn number 1 and 2. He just needs to hit his marks again, remain in P3 as a smaller gap than at the front between himself and Gary right behind, but that is still rather much so vast yawning chasm with about 2 laps left to go here.
So as we approach the white flag for Tyler Smith, it'll be 1 lap to run at Nashville Fairgrounds. 1 more lap left here. 19 seconds until Riley Duncan is no longer the only race winner this season in the 204 League Summer Heat Series. Only took us 4 rounds to get there. Checkered flags out, though, for Tyler Smith as he comes up to the start-finish line. It's a race win for the 25. It's P2 for the 00 of Rob Donaldson as he comes up to the line. And it is jackpotted tonight. $55 going to Lee Hamby as the Dash for Cash winner. And on the podium in P3 here at Nashville, Stephen Gary, Riley Duncan make up our top 5. Scotty Oliver, Mark Keeler, Dakota Dennis, Marcus De La Garza make up the runners for the 9 cars. Clint Walker finishing on lap 81 and JJ McRae out on lap 61 as well. But for Smith, it's his first race win of the season. For Donaldson, it's a solid podium. And for Lee Hamby, he is $55 richer heading in towards next week. So we'll put in a little post out to see if Lee is around to come and have a chat to us. I don't even know if there's anywhere I can actually post to do so. Yes, I can. Here we go. Where's Lee Hamby?
And whilst you're doing that, Hamish, I'll take a look at the results and let you know that Tyler Smith is your winner at the end of it all here this evening. The driver, the number 25, winning by 7.2 seconds in front of Rob Dotson in P number 2. Lee Hamby rounds at your podium in third, taking home the prize pool at the end of this race here as well. It'll be Stephen Gary being classed in P4. Riley Duncan, the race win streak ends at 3, but still a solid result inside the top 5 for the number 97. Came back from that penalty at the start and still runs rather smooth here this evening. It'll be Scotty Oliver finishing this race in a somewhat heartbreaking P6. Was in the lead at some point during this race, but didn't really work out too well for him. He ends up in 6th in front of Mark Keeler in P number 7. Dakota Dennis in 8th. Marcus DeGarza in 9th. Clint Walker in 10th with JJ McRae rounding out your 11 cars that are classified at the end of this race here tonight, Hamish. But we got some drivers looking to have a chat with us, so let's get the festivities up and rolling.
Yeah, we'll start by having a chat to our P3 on the road here this evening. Mr. Hamby, not only are you P3 here this evening, you are $55 richer as well. You have jackpotted the Dash for Cash by finishing inside of the top 5, starting at a P6 out Dash for Cash position here this evening. Congratulations, P3, $55. Got to feel good after that, don't you?
Yeah, $55 is always nice.
Well, I mean, it's good enough for what, 2 cases of beer and maybe even a little snack on the side as well. I mean, that's going to be a solid feeling for you. Now, obviously, a podium here tonight, not just the Dash for Cash, but the podium as well. So how do you feel after those 100 laps here of Nashville? Are you feeling good, or do you feel a bit tired? Maybe you need a bit of a rest? I mean, talk us through the race for you and how you're feeling after that performance.
I feel pretty good about it. It's a good points night, and I actually messed up on pit road. I meant to take 2 and ended up taking 4, and I didn't think it would work out, but it actually did.
Well, you seem to have had the betterment of the pace thanks to those 4 tyres. Steve Gary was following you for a short period there, but eventually he just couldn't find the pace to get past you. Maybe even be able to find the grip possibly as well. Richmond next week, how are you feeling leading into that one? And do you think you might be able to carry some momentum to maybe back this up with another podium for yourself?
Yeah, we're going to Richmond next, right?
Yep, we are.
Yeah, I usually run pretty well there, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how you do run. Thank you so much for coming and have a chat to us tonight. Let us know anyone you want to give a shout out to, any friends or family who may be watching, and from all of us here in the booth, congratulations on your P3 and congrats on jackpotting the Dash for Cash here this evening as well.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Herbal Ingenuity, J&D Trucking, Herbal Farmer, and my friends and family, and y'all for broadcasting.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for coming and have a chat to us. Best of luck next week out at Richmond.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got P2 on the road here this evening. Rob Donaldson, who's about to catch up with Ron Morns.
And Rob Donson now joining us here in the commentary booth. Rob, welcome in, and well done on the P2 result here at Nashville tonight. How about you talk us through that race?
I appreciate it. And it was a pretty tough race. We kind of got strung out there for a little while and came out of the pits right behind the 25. I was hoping I could keep up with him, but I think I got my tires a little hot racing with the 18 there. But congratulations to the 47 and the 25. It's good runs tonight, and it was a fun race.
It looked like a very fun race out there. We were thinking about the challenges that you racers face, though, in this race here this evening. So I want to ask you, from your perspective behind the wheel, what do you think was the toughest part of this race at Nashville this evening?
I think the track is the toughest part because if you hit the bumps the wrong way in turn 1 or 2, it's going to shoot you up in the wall. So it takes a lot of concentration to make sure that you're hitting your marks right and you're not getting out of shape. And it's real easy to cause a big wreck here if you're on the outside and spin down into people. So I think concentration on the track is going to be probably the hardest thing tonight.
And this track, it is old school. It is a rather old racing facility, this. So interesting to hear that the bumps are definitely a factor in these races here. But Rob, I want to ask you about next week's race. Going to be heading off to Richmond in just 1 week's time. Are you going to be out there on the racetrack for that? And if so, what are your thoughts heading to it?
Absolutely. I plan on being there. I'll have to try that track out this week. I don't think I've raced there in a long time, so it's going to be interesting to see what I can come up with this week as far as practice goes.
And certainly some practice going to be needed for that race in just 1 week's time. Rob, we'll let you give any thanks or shout out so you can get some practice in early for that Richmond race.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Alrighty, and that right there was Rob Dotson, your P2 finisher at the end of this race. And Hamish, I'll pass it back off to you.
Well, finally, we've got our race winner here this evening for the first time in this season. Riley Duncan is not the driver coming to chat to us as a race victor. This time it is Tyler Smith in the 25 entry. Tyler finally getting himself a race win here tonight out at Nashville. It's got to feel good to get it done for the 25 machine, and a solid performance for yourself in the Cadillac as well. So the old Chatty wins again, and it's won this season now for the first time for you. And do you think you were saved by Riley and Scotty needing to do drive-through penalties, or were you feeling confident throughout this one that you could have done it even with them on the lead lap?
Oh yeah, definitely. Scotty definitely had me beat. He was fast all night. So when I seen they had the drive-through penalties, well, first I seen Scotty had it. I didn't realize Riley had it until later on, but yeah, I was definitely saved by the bell there. But last season I got screwed by that same deal multiple times, and I made a promise to myself I was not going to mess up in the pits this season. So,
well, it's paid off for you. It hasn't paid off for them quite as much. Richmond next week. Are you feeling confident going into Richmond, or is it a track that doesn't suit your style, or is it one that you may never have actually driven before?
Richmond, I haven't had too much good luck there. It's a little bit big for the tracks I like. I'm more of a short track guy, but we'll see what I can do.
Well, do you think you can at least carry some momentum into Richmond next week? Maybe get a podium for yourself. I know Riley's going to be hungry to get himself a back into winning ways, and obviously now he doesn't have to start at the back of the field because he didn't win this week. You won this week, so you're going to have to start at the back of the field next week. So do you think you're going to have a fun night trying to battle your way through the field, or is it going to be a tough effort for you out at Richmond?
Oh, I think it'll definitely be a tough one for me to get from the rear to the front, but I definitely think we can put on a show and maybe get into the top 3.
Well, we hope to see you get there once again next week, Tyler. Let us know who helps get you out on track. Anyone you want to give a shout out to who may be watching, and from all of us here in the booth from MotorMouth Broadcasting, congratulations on your race win here at Nashville Fairgrounds.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Scotty Oliver and Top Tier Custom Designs and Apparel, and Madeline, my girlfriend, for sitting down there and watching me every Tuesday, and everyone else who joined in on the broadcast and watched. Thank you, guys.
No worries, Tyler. Thank you so much. Best of luck next week out at Richmond.
Appreciate it.
Well, Ron, a stellar night on the road for some here at Nashville, a tough night on the road for others. Luckily, though, for Riley Duncan, if you include a drop round, he's still leading the way by a fair margin thanks to his 3 race wins prior to tonight. Richmond next week, and the worrying thing now is for everyone else, Riley Duncan does not have to start at the back of the field. He gets to start right at the front. So that is going to be a big test for everyone else to contest him if he does qualify that car on pole. The stats say he will, and it could mean a 4th victory for him this season if he does.
It potentially will, but I feel like Richmond in 1 week's time is going to be a venture off into the unknown for these racers. We heard in that interview that I just had a couple of moments ago with our P2 finisher at the end of this race of Rob Dotson, just basically saying, hey, I really need to get a lot of practice in for that race. I'm sure that will probably be the case for a lot of these racers up and down the grid. So really looking forward to seeing what that venture off into the mystery land of Richmond will be like in 1 week's time.
Time will tell how we go out at Richmond next week. So if you don't want to miss the action coming your way from the rest of the 204 League Summer Heat Series, and you haven't done so already, hit the like button, the subscribe, the bell icon too, right here on MotorMouth Broadcasting. Not only so you notified whenever we go racing here with the 204 League for short track action, but also everything else we broadcast on the channel as well, including the High Point GT Challenge. Heading out tomorrow for that series. It's going to be a spectacular race, as well as Thursday for the High Point IMSA series as well. Saturday night, the I2I Motorsports NASCAR Xfinity series as well. Oh, my brain is going everywhere. Monday as well, we begin another High Point series for the High Point GT Championship, just GT3s going down for the GT3 showdown. No? Okay. No then. Well, other than that, we'll be back next
Monday is the free time racing.
Sorry,
NASCAR.
It's Monday for me. It's Sunday for High Point. So
we're not covering that one. They're not doing that one.
Okay. All right. Well, Monday anyway, for the US viewers out there, we are of course live once again with the Racing Paradise Truck Series Championship as well. So that'll be good on Monday for those guys too. But so much more racing to come your way. Hit the like button, the subscribe, the bell icon, and as I said, there's so much action for you guys to watch along here as well. If you want to support me, you can find me over at Infinity Broadcasting. We don't run head-to-head with MotorMouth because we only do Australian series on that channel, so you can watch both and enjoy both and everything that myself and Jim offer to you as well. A massive thank you to Ron for coming on board, not only tonight, but for the rest of the season, it seems, as it'll be me and him as of next week. So it's going to be a fun time, and I'm looking forward to Richmond, so it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But I've been Hamish Munro with Jim Cunningham behind the cameras here tonight. Ron Maunce alongside me as well as the co-commentator. Appreciate everybody's time. Appreciate everyone being here once again. We'll see you guys next week out at Richmond Raceway. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.